Hello and welcome back to my channel and the second part of a two-part series, Most Notorious Inside Eastern State Penitentiary. Built in 1829 and inspired by asylums and prisons built in Ireland and France in the 1780s. The Eastern State Penitentiary has seen 142 years of history. The idea of a reformatory-style prison began during a meeting at Benjamin Franklin's house in 1787. And some other interesting facts about the penitentiary are many inmates suffered mental illness from being in complete solitude. And Al Capone, cell block 8, may have actually wanted to be there to hide out because Chicago was under serious heat at the time. While in operation, 2 guards and several inmates were murdered inside these walls. Some prisoners committed suicide, and hundreds died from disease and old age. Next up on our list of most notorious is Slick Willie Sutton, who was good friends with the higher-ups in the mafia. The gentleman-like thief, a real-life Robin Hood only taking from the rich, was imprisoned in 1934 after the machine gun robbery of the Corn Exchange Bank. He escaped the prison in which he was to serve between 25 to 50 years. 11 years into his sentence, with 11 other convicts, they escaped through a tunnel they dug 100 feet underground. They were caught and moved to another prison, which this time he successfully escaped from. Unfortunately for him, only 2 weeks later, he was caught again. In all, he escaped 3 times and robbed over 50 banks. On the more haunted side of things, a locksmith working on repairing an old lock said he felt he was being overcome by a massive force. He was unable to speak, nor move, while he explained distorted forms swirling around the cell block, appearing to beckon him. Due to multiple reports of the paranormal, it has become the most haunted place in the world. Next up on the roster is Morris, the Rabbi Bulber, member of Philly's Poison Ring. He offered services to unhappily married women to kill off their husbands and take a money cut from life insurance, murdering at least 30 and mainly using arsenic. He was sentenced to life in 1939 and died in prison in 1954. Fellow inmates describe acts of kindness during his time in prison. Another infamous haunting story comes from Al Capone himself. He says it was a terrifying experience, telling others that an unknown force was haunting him nightly and letting out insanely scared screams come nightfall. He was heard pleading with a spirit named Jimmy to leave him alone. This spirit perhaps was Jimmy Clark, killed during Capone's execution orders in the St. Valentine's Massacre. Next up, my favorite convict of all, Pep the dog. Legend has it he murdered the governor's wife's cat, but rationality says the governor brought him there to rally up good spirits and boost morale after chewing up the wife's cushions. Pep was also buried on the grounds here at Eastern State Penitentiary. Even Charles Dickens wrote about how appalled he was of the conditions of the prisoners at Eastern State Penitentiary after visiting the prison himself. Approximately 294 children from ages 11 to 20 were imprisoned here at Eastern State between 1833 and 1850. And from 1829 to 1913, inmates spent 23 hours a day locked inside their cells. Back to the spooky side of things. Many employees here have quit without leaving any notice, fearing they were running from some sinister force. Okay, so a short story time. There was a guard in the prison named Edwin Lichtenberger, and I hope I didn't mess that name up. He was killed on Monday, July 17th in 1944. This inmate was planning an elaborate escape. He had made several weapons, 40 feet of rope, and he had several incendiary devices that he was going to ignite to use as diversions. But he was interrupted by Edwin, this guard. So, with use of his homemade hatchet, he struck him to the head several times, causing severe injury. Attempting to ignite his devices and failing, he then committed suicide by stabbing himself. And Lichtenberger, unfortunately, later succumbed to his wounds. Reported paranormal activity here includes disembodied voices, shadow figures, other unexplainable occurrences, objects moving on their own, whispering, weeping and laughing, and a mysterious woman in white, perhaps a grieving widow. After the years of sorrow that these walls have seen, I have to say, for personal belief, there is absolutely no way there isn't a ton of residual energy lurking within the walls of Eastern State Penitentiary. It was so quiet the day that we visited. We were lucky. There was literally 4 or 5 people around us at all times. And just taking it all in and taking in the energy and the silence that is now Eastern State Penitentiary was overall a very incredible experience. Definitely more historically for us both, but I will say that, like I said, there's a lot of sad energy, there's angry energy in this place. There's all sorts of energy if you just take the time, take a moment to really be in your surroundings. It's quite obvious to see it here at Eastern State. So yeah, there were definitely, for me personally, sad moments here, and also you could feel some emotional high levels, maybe some anger, but also friendliness, and never felt threatened here once or anything like that. It's just definitely a residual type of energy. And there was one point where we decided that we would do just a quick EVP because my husband and I had actually simultaneously heard something, and we ended up catching it on the video. Is anyone there? Are there any prisoners still left here at Penitentiary? Are there any prisoners still left here at Eastern State Penitentiary? Hello? Is anyone here? Who's that? Who's here? Who's still here in the penitentiary? Are there any prisoners here? Hello? Can you say hello back? Didn't it?
Well, you'll have to definitely play that part.
Hello.